My name is Daniel Carter. Most people who met me thought I was just another quiet single father. I drove an old pickup truck. I wore faded jeans. I worked as a mechanic in a small-town garage. My 12-year-old daughter, Lily, was the center of my world. Nobody knew that before grease stains covered my hands, they had been stained by desert sand, jungle mud, and years of classified military operations. For 20 years, I served in special operations. The missions remained classified. The scars didn't. When my wife passed away from cancer 3 years earlier, I walked away from the military forever. Or at least, I tried to. My brother-in-law, Trevor, never respected me. He called me boring. Weak. Pathetic. He constantly told everyone I hid behind silence because I was afraid of confrontation. He had no idea silence had once kept entire teams alive. One Saturday afternoon, my daughter wanted to visit her cousin's birthday party. Trevor hosted it at his expensive lakeside house. I almost declined. But Lily begged. "Dad, please. I want to see everyone." I smiled. "Anything for you." The party looked perfect. Children laughed. Music played. Families talked. Then Trevor walked over carrying a beer. "Look who's here." His friends laughed. The little mechanic. I ignored him. Lily squeezed my hand. "Dad. It's okay." But Trevor wasn't finished. He stepped closer. "You know what your problem is?" I stayed quiet. "You act tough because nobody challenges you." His friends formed a circle. Someone started recording with a phone. Trevor grinned. "I've been doing MMA for 6 years." He reached into his gym bag. Then tossed a pair of MMA gloves directly at my chest. The gloves bounced off me and landed at Lily's feet. She looked terrified. Trevor pointed toward the backyard. "Come on. Let's see how tough you are." I shook my head. "I'm not fighting you." He laughed loudly. "Hear that?" He's scared. Everyone laughed. Lily looked embarrassed. Trevor stepped inches from my face. "If you don't fight." He whispered just loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I'll put you in the hospital anyway." Lily gasped. "Dad." Trevor looked directly at my daughter. "Watch carefully. I'm going to teach your father what a real man looks like." Something changed inside me. Not anger. Calculation. Years of training activated automatically. Distance. Weight distribution. Escape routes. Threat level. Bystanders. Everything. I noticed Trevor shifting his weight onto his front foot. Classic amateur stance. Overconfident. Predictable. I quietly bent down. Picked up the gloves. Handed them back. "I won't fight you." His smile disappeared. "You think this is a joke?" "No. It's your last chance to walk away." The crowd laughed again. Trevor shoved my shoulder. Hard. Lily screamed. "Stop." Trevor shoved me again. Harder. Then he swung. His right fist came fast. To everyone else. Fast. To me. It looked like slow motion. I slipped 6 inches sideways. His punch missed completely. Before he could recover, I gently caught his wrist. Turned. Shifted my hips. Used his momentum. Trevor flew over my shoulder. He slammed into the grass. The entire backyard fell silent. He jumped back up. Furious. "You got lucky." He rushed again. This time with wild punches. 1. 2. 3. Every strike missed. People couldn't understand what they were seeing. It looked like Trevor was fighting air. Then he tried to tackle me. Big mistake. I stepped aside. Locked his arm. Guided him into the ground. Face first. In less than 3 seconds. He couldn't move. I wasn't hurting him. I simply controlled every joint. He screamed. My arm. I leaned close enough for only him to hear. I've broken stronger men than you. I don't want to. So stop. He froze. The confidence vanished from his eyes. I released him. Stepped back. Trevor stood slowly. His face was pale. His friends stared at me. Nobody laughed anymore. One of them whispered. What was that? Another replied. I've never seen anything like it. Trevor couldn't accept losing. His pride wouldn't allow it. He pointed at me. You attacked me. I looked around. Everyone saw who threw the first punch. His smile returned. You think witnesses matter? He pulled out his phone. My friend is a deputy. I'll have you arrested. I simply nodded. Call him. 10 minutes later. A sheriff's vehicle arrived. Deputy Harris stepped out. Trevor immediately started talking. This psycho attacked me in front of everyone. Harris looked toward me. Then froze. His eyes widened. For several long seconds. He didn't move. Finally. He walked directly toward me. Not Trevor. Me. Then. To everyone's shock. He stood perfectly straight. Raised his hand. And saluted. Major Carter. The entire backyard became silent again. Trevor blinked. What? Deputy Harris smiled respectfully. It's an honor to see you again, sir. Trevor looked completely confused. You know him? Harris laughed softly. Know him? This man saved my life in Afghanistan. The silence became even heavier. Harris continued. Our convoy was ambushed. We would have all died. Major Carter brought every one of us home. Trevor's face turned white. You mean? This mechanic? Harris nodded. He retired from special operations. One of the finest officers I ever served under. Nobody spoke. Even the children stopped playing. Lily looked at me. Dad. You were a soldier. I smiled gently. For a long time. Her eyes filled with tears. You never told me. I wanted you to know peace. Not war. Trevor suddenly became nervous. I didn't know. No. You didn't. But threatening someone in front of a child says more about you than it does about me. Deputy Harris asked several witnesses what happened. Every story matched perfectly. Trevor had started everything. The videos proved it. Harris looked at Trevor. You'll be lucky if assault charges aren't filed. Trevor looked completely defeated. For the first time in his life. He had no words. Weeks passed. I thought everything was over. Then my phone rang. It was an old military contact. Major. We saw the incident. I figured. The video reached millions. I sighed. Of course it did. The department wants to recognize your restraint. I laughed. I didn't do anything. You could have. But you didn't. 2 months later. I was invited to receive a civilian medal for protecting others while demonstrating extraordinary discipline. The ceremony was public. Local news attended. Lily sat proudly in the front row. After the medal was presented. The reporter asked her. What makes your dad a hero? She smiled. Not because he knows how to fight. Because he always chooses not to. The audience applauded. Those words meant more than every medal I'd ever earned. A week later. Someone knocked on my garage door. Trevor. He looked different. No arrogance. No attitude. Only regret. I'm sorry. I stayed quiet. I spent my whole life trying to prove I was the toughest man in every room. He looked down. Then I met someone who actually was. And he never needed to say it. I nodded. What matters now is what kind of man you'll become. He extended his hand. I shook it. Not because he'd earned forgiveness. But because holding on to anger is another kind of prison. That evening. Lily sat beside me on the porch. She looked at the sunset. Dad. Will you teach me how to fight? I smiled. Only after you learn when not to. She nodded. I understand. I wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Strength isn't measured by how hard you hit. It's measured by how much power you refuse to use. Real warriors don't look for battles. They protect the people they love. And on that day, my daughter finally understood why the quietest man in the room had never been the weakest. He had simply spent his entire life making sure everyone else got to go home safely. The story could have ended there. But life has a strange way of testing whether people truly change. 3 months after the ceremony, Lily and I had settled back into our normal routine. I spent my days repairing engines, and she spent hers focused on school. We rarely talked about the military anymore. That chapter belonged in the past. One rainy Thursday afternoon, my phone rang. It was Deputy Harris. His voice sounded urgent. Major. I need your help. I don't wear that uniform anymore. I know. This isn't official. What happened? A school bus carrying 23 children slid off a mountain road. Emergency crews are on the way, but the bridge leading to the ravine collapsed. My heart skipped. What school? He answered. It was Lily's school. I was already grabbing my truck keys before he finished speaking. When I arrived, police lights covered the mountainside. Parents cried behind barricades. The yellow school bus hung halfway over a steep drop, supported by only a few twisted trees. One wrong movement. And it would fall hundreds of feet. I searched desperately. Then I saw Lily. She was inside. Our eyes met through the shattered window. She wasn't crying. She simply mouthed one word. Dad. The firefighters were doing everything they could. But the muddy ground kept shifting. The rescue commander shook his head. If we rush it, everyone dies. I quietly looked over the terrain. Wind speed. Slope angle. Weight distribution. Anchor points. Old instincts returned instantly. I walked toward the commander. I have an idea. He looked irritated. This isn't the time. Deputy Harris stepped beside him. You should listen. Within seconds, Harris explained who I was. The commander's expression changed. What do you need? Steel cable. 3 climbing harnesses. 2 recovery winches. And complete silence while I work. Within minutes everything was ready. Television helicopters circled overhead. Reporters watched from a distance. Millions would later watch the footage. But in that moment, nothing existed except that bus. I clipped into the safety line. Slowly crawled across the unstable ground. Every movement had to be perfect. The earth shifted beneath me. Small rocks rolled into the canyon. One mistake. Everyone would die. I reached the driver's window. The driver had broken both legs but remained conscious. You stayed. I smiled. So did you. He whispered. I couldn't leave them. You won't have to. I climbed inside. The children were terrified. Some were crying. Some prayed quietly. Lily stood and spoke before I could. Everyone. My dad is here. It's going to be okay. Every child became quiet. I smiled proudly. Even under pressure. She inspired confidence. One by one, I secured each child into a rescue harness. Emergency crews pulled them across the cables. The operation lasted nearly 2 hours. 22 children reached safety. Only Lily remained beside me. As I clipped her harness, she frowned. What about you? I'll be right behind you. You promise? I always keep my promises. She hugged me tightly before rescuers pulled her across. Now only the injured driver and I remained. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the canyon. The largest supporting tree snapped. The bus shifted violently. Outside, people screamed. The commander shouted. Get out now. There wasn't enough time. If I climbed out first, the driver would never make it. So I made my choice. I secured him to the final cable. Don't. He whispered. I'm too heavy. I smiled. I've carried heavier. Using every ounce of strength, I pushed him through the broken windshield toward the waiting rescuers. They grabbed him just as another tree broke. The bus lurched forward. For a split second, it hung in the air. Then gravity took over. The bus plunged into the canyon. Spectators screamed. News cameras lost sight of me. Everyone believed I had fallen with it. Lily collapsed into Deputy Harris's arms. Dad! But hidden beneath the bridge, my emergency line held. Exactly where I had anchored it. I swung beneath the collapsing bus and climbed upward through the rain. When my hand appeared over the edge, the crowd erupted. Firefighters pulled me onto solid ground. Lily sprinted toward me. She threw her arms around my neck. I knew you'd come back. I held her tightly. I told you. I always keep my promises. The rescue made national headlines. Reporters called me a hero. I disagreed every time. The heroes are the teachers who stayed calm. The driver who refused to abandon the children. The firefighters who trusted each other. I simply did my job. A week later, the governor invited every rescuer to the state capitol. During the ceremony, Trevor quietly approached me again. This time he wasn't alone. He held the hand of his young son. He looked embarrassed. My boy wants to meet you. The little boy smiled nervously. Mom says you're the strongest man in America. I knelt beside him. No. The strongest people are the ones who protect others. He thought for a moment. Like firefighters? Exactly. And soldiers? When they protect people. And dads? I looked at Lily. Then smiled. The very best dads. The little boy grinned. I want to be like that. Trevor lowered his head. I spent years teaching him that strength meant winning fights. He looked at me with regret. You taught him something much better without saying a word. I placed a hand on his shoulder. It's never too late to teach the right lesson. That night, Lily placed my military medals back into their wooden box. She looked at them for a long time before closing the lid. You know what? What? I don't think these are your greatest achievement. I smiled. What is? She hugged me tightly. Coming home. For every mission I completed overseas. For every medal pinned to my uniform. For every battle I survived. None of it compared to hearing those 2 words from my daughter. Because the greatest victory any warrior can ever earn isn't defeating an enemy. It's making it home to the people waiting for them.